Hey guys, first up, sorry for the lack of video content last couple days. Yesterday, as you guys know, I was shooting a music video and it was a very, very long rolling day. Pretty much shooting the entire time, and there just wasn't any time to do B roll. Combined with the fact that I had no energy to do B roll at that point. Holding that camera up for as many hours I did, I'm amazed my shoulders are still attached and my elbow hasn't fallen off. Um, like I said, pretty long day. And today was equally as long. I worked for Rick today. Went over to our lockup area and busted down the C rig and got it shipped over to his house and set it up. So we spent pretty much the entire day working on that. When I got there, I also had to clean out his studio, which was full of his other gear to make room for his touring rig. So it was pretty much a an all day endeavor. Plus, with getting all the triggers dialed in and all that fun jazz, and getting Rick set so he can rehearse for the upcoming tour and have him happy. So that's going on. But aside from that, it was just a long ass day. I didn't get driving over early in the morning and then come back a couple hours ago. Pretty much wiped me out. Uh, what else? Oh, I had a question from a one of you guys. It's from Left Mix G, and wanted to know if it was a coincidence that my flat is near the Lep's rehearsal space, um, or do I rent just this purpose? I live in LA because of Leopard. Um, I'll give you a little bit of backstory in a second. I'm going to answer the other question. I'll come back to this. You also had a tech question: is how many of you are responsible for Rick's kit? Just me. That's my job. If a pad splits, you have spares, and who orders the backups? I have spares for everything ready to go aside from the kick drum. That's the only thing I don't have a backup at within arm's reach, which means I have extra snare pads, extra tom pads, extra hi hats, foot triggers, kick drum pedal. All that stuff is ready to go. In addition to two full rigs in the sampling system, basically you switch what I call an oh shit switch. So if something ever happened with a drum kit, one switch switches all the inputs and outputs from one computer to the other computer. So we're literally fairly seamless. Basically, maybe Rick might drop one hit, assuming if everything went haywire. The kick drum is the only one I don't have a full spare of on tour because it's a rather big item and it'd be a whole other case. But we do have extra triggers on deck, and I've had I've had the kick drum trigger go out before, and Rick has just moved over to play the auxiliary pedal. If you guys looked at the C rig video, I think it was part one, I believe, when I took the hardware. Rick has six pedals across the bottom. There's the acoustic cable hi hat, three triggers on his three triggers over here on his left foot, and the right foot is a normal kick drum pedal, and then there's another pedal which is basically a backup kick. That does get used for separate sounds in a few songs like Slang or Rock On. But for the most part, it's basically exactly the same signal you get when he hits a normal kick drum pedal. So if that main kick drum goes out, he can literally hop over and play the show on that. It is a little different in that it's not a normal kick drum pedal; it's a trigger pedal, so it's a little less reactive, and you can't quite do the foot rolls that Rick does on it. But we've had it happen before where he's had to play half the show on that, and it's just kind of one of those suck it up, and the kick drum is a little less busy that night. As far as who orders the backups and stuff, that's all me. That's basically my entire job is to maintain that kit and make sure everything works and we have spares for it. I source out the components. I contact the vendors, all that fun stuff. If there's any major purchases to happen, the only real caveat is I run it past our backline crew chief, who is a Vivstack, and then check with our production manager before I spend any of the band's money, which is courtesy thing, and that's how it works because it's not my money to spend. So that being said, if I need something, it's never an issue. I try to not spend the boss's money when I can avoid it because, as I said, it's their money, not mine. Um, Getting back to the original question though of living in LA near their pad, I lived in Seattle for about 16 years. Basically, from high school on. After I graduated high school, I moved to Seattle, went to college there, and for the last 10 years, my main gig was working for the band Heart. I worked for their drummer in the studio, Ben Smith, a fabulous session drummer. I think one of the most underrated guys in the business. He's that damn good, and he's the only person other than Rick, I would say, who could rival Rick on the niceness scale. He's an absolute sweetheart. But I worked, so I worked there for lived for 10 years, and in Seattle for 16, and basically life was getting kind of stagnant. Wasn't really pushing myself creatively, wasn't pushing my career wise, and just wasn't pushing life in general. So when I got hired by Leopard, I sort of took this opportunity to force myself to start over, move down to LA, get myself resituated, make new routes, make new friends, kind of thing. I do definitely miss Seattle. I miss all my friends back there, but the town's changed quite a bit since I left. So every time I go back there, it feels a little less like home and more like a city I'm visiting. And LA is definitely home. So if that hope that answers your question of why I'm here, it's because of the gig. If I didn't work for Leopard, or when they decide they're done, I'll probably leave LA. It's a pretty expensive place to live, and the taxes down here are pretty brutal at least by U.S. standards. I realize people around the world, the U.S. tax system is still pretty cheap, especially for all my European friends who kind of scoff when we can play how much we spend over here. But yeah, that's it. I live here, or live where I do because of work, and I guess that's about it for today. Tomorrow probably will be a day of actual filming and maybe go fly the drone if it's not nasty out and get some photos and get caught up in this mountain of editing. Oh, yeah, I had a little chat with Rick about this today. There's a thing where every time I feel like I get, completely caught up on stuff, and I did get caught up a couple weeks ago. I was actually on top of my projects. Something happens and suddenly I'm the bottom of the hill again, and I'm at that spot where I've got four huge editing projects that all need to be done now. Thankfully, only one person's complaining about getting the thing done, but I have a lot of stuff to do, and tomorrow is going to be kind of dedicated to that, along with some filming and maybe a little bit of drone flying. But with that, I shall see you guys tomorrow. I hope you're having an awesome weekend, and yeah, catch you later.